Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys. Thursday, December the 4th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Thursday NHL card. A big one for this Thursday. Excited about it. We're also excited about the fact that the BetCast was just a lot of fun, as it always is, last night with our Patreon members. So, again, we thank you for being part of it. We had some more signups and some more subscribers to the Patreon page yesterday prior to the BetCast, which was great to see. And, as always, just a lot of fun. The banter and the discussion was really good on the BetCast. Usually it's a little somber on the BetCast with the Patreon members only, but I'll tell you this. It was definitely, we got a little debate going on. We had spirited debates. We were talking
last two BetCasts have been like that.
Yeah.
No? Mm-hmm.
Like Winnipeg, Montreal. Who the hell cares if you're, about the ratings? Ratings aren't good anyway for a Buffalo-Philadelphia game. At least put a better game on, like a Winnipeg-Montreal. But we went back and forth on that. That was a lot of fun. But like I said, great BetCast, always fun, always enjoyable, entertaining, up and down as far as the live bets. But like I said, the BetCast last night was fun. We can't thank our Patreon members enough for being part of it. That was the great thing. We do those Patreon exclusive live BetCasts for you guys, and we'll be doing plenty more in the new year for sure. January, we're going to ramp it up 2, sometimes even 3 Patreon exclusive live BetCasts in that 3-hour range like we had last night, which was great. So stay tuned for that in the new year. But before we get there, we do have one more BetCast here in December, our regular free-for-all BetCast open to everybody, and it's time to announce the date of that December BetCast.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
It's the Christmas party edition of the Ice Guys Live BetCast. About a week out from Christmas is when we will be having our live BetCast for the month of December, free for all, open to everybody, and it will come your way Tuesday, December the 16th at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time, and this will be a full BetCast. Like I said, open to everybody, which means we're going to see Goose. You can guarantee that. And of course, we're going to see, obviously, a lot of our viewers and listeners that are around and want to join us for that BetCast. So again, Ice Guys NHL live BetCast, the last BetCast for 2025, and it will be Tuesday, December the 16th at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time. There you have it on the screen right now. Tuesday, December 16, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time. So essentially 2 weeks from now. Excited about it. Looking forward to it. As always, DM or email to join the BetCast, and we'll make sure you get a spot to join us next, 2 weeks away on Tuesday, December the 16th. As far as last night's concerned, we hit the best bet. Sabres Flyers over pretty easily. Great to get another best bet. It's been a good week with best bets on the show. I think 3-0 this week since Monday. We had San Jose on Monday. We had the Montreal-Ottawa over on Tuesday, and we had Philly-Buffalo over last night. So nice little roll with the best bets. Great to cash that. We had Winnipeg first goal of first period against Montreal. Nice win, by the way, I should say, for Philadelphia. Great bounce back. A lot of money on the Sabres last night, but that money was all incorrect as the Flyers bounced back from a pretty rough game against Pittsburgh at home to beat Buffalo last night. Winnipeg-Montreal, great game. Great pace. Great goaltending. I felt Eric Comrie played a really, really solid game in between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets. He stepped his game up. I don't know if the Winnipeg defense stepped their game up because they were still giving up some pretty good looks. But boy, oh boy, it was one heck of an effort in between the pipes from Eric Comrie, even though Montreal gets the 3-2 shootout win in that game. It was a physical game. Great scrap in the first period. 2 of my favorites. The local kid from right here in Hamilton, Arbor Jackeye, dropping the gloves with one of my favorite captains in the NHL, Adam Lowry. That was a great thing to see in the first period in that game. But 3-2, nice win for Montreal. I thought the goaltending was better from Winnipeg, but another loss, and they really can't wait to get home in an interesting spot, which we'll talk about tomorrow, with Winnipeg and Buffalo again, this time in Winnipeg after Winnipeg lost to Buffalo 5-1 on Monday. They'll face the Sabres again back home, returning from this road trip. All good things must come to an end. And boy, oh boy, did it come to an end as far as the good vibes for the two teams we've backed quite a bit this year, San Jose and Anaheim, losing by a combined 14-1 last night against the Capitals and the Mammoth, respectively. 7-1 for Washington, and you could tell in the first period that game was over. Washington jumped on them. Great job by them. Tough spot, too, back-to-back. But that was a rotten game for San Jose. You could just see it was just bad from the beginning. Got away from them. I'm glad Warsofsky got Askarov out of there and put Nedeljkovic in for the rest of the game. He knew that game was over. They weren't coming back. Washington with a 7-1 win there in that game. Ovechkin gets 2 goals. I mean, just ridiculous what he continues to do. Ryan Leonard had a multiple-point game for the Washington Capitals as well. Dylan Strome, Ryan Leonard, or Brandon Duhaime, Sonny Milano got the goals for Washington. And then just the same with Anaheim. Just a dreadful game from the beginning. Everyone got on the board. 2 goals for J.J. Peterka. And Clayton Keller, it's got to be a great feeling. He got the 7th and final goal for Utah in that game and what has been obviously a very trying time for him. So give them credit. Utah needed a win desperately, finally got it. And this Capitals team, they just keep on rolling. And you talk about another coach who's doing some nice work. Talked about Cooper, what he's done with a banged-up Tampa Bay team, and how they've still been able to win games. How about Spencer Carberry? Like I said, really good coaching as we expect. We think he's a good coach. We've said that for a long time. And this has been one hell of a run for the Washington Capitals. Spot be damned, right? Road game against the Islanders, we still win. Tough spot in L.A., we still win. Back-to-back against a red-hot San Jose team, no problem. Washington still wins. And like I said, Ducks will be fine. I think Joel Quenneville summed it up. We just, we learned from it. But the best thing about, they asked him, what is the thing that's the most positive about that game is that it's over, he said in the post-game press conference. Great quote there from Joel Quenneville after that 7-0 shutout loss at home to Utah. Alex, your thoughts on the BetCast and what we saw last night?
Yeah, it was a fun time, the BetCast, and we ended up actually staying on for the entire slate of games because, like you said, those late games ended in the first period, essentially. So it was kind of funny in that aspect. When you have bets on a game like that, you just have to kind of just smile and shake it off and say, you know what, hey, I got beat. I took a shot with the Sharks as my best bet, plus 130, completely goes down the drain. Even more frustrating was I actually was debating I went with Macklin Celebrini 2 goals in my bargain bid, but I was debating, and I talked about this on the BetCast, splitting it and going a goal for Celebrini and a goal for Alex Ovechkin. Not only does Ovechkin score first, he scores 2 goals in that route. So you just some nights you get it completely fucking wrong, and that's exactly the way I did with San Jose. But interesting games early. We all bodied it with that second period over in Dallas, New Jersey. And I said on the show, I want to wait. I think that's going to be a good live game. And it ended up being a decent one. I know we didn't get that full game over 3.5, but most of us ended up hitting with that second period over.
Yep.
And so it ended up being a decent night and picking off some good spots. So, of course, looking forward to the BetCast in 12 days from now, but also looking forward to tonight's card. Bigger card on Thursday. Some spots that I'm kind of on the fence with, and we'll kind of talk it over, but there's a couple spots that I really like here as well.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been cards where I've been on a lot of underdogs. I know for a fact there's been like 4, 5, 6 underdogs before on a card on one day on my card in one day on my card before. We might set a record for that tonight. Like we're in that vicinity again as far as dogs that we think are very live and just favorites that are mispriced and not playing good enough to warrant the price that they're playing right now. So a very, very interesting card. A lot of plus money spots. So this is not one of them, though, the first game that we're going to talk about, even though I kind of lean a little bit to the big home underdog, but did not pull the trigger. We begin with the Colorado Avalanche, New York Islanders, Avs minus 190, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Colorado's going to lose eventually. I don't know if I'm going to rush to fade them, though. Now, they have had a little bit of an illness running through the team. Not that it's tripped them up at all. They beat Vancouver in their last game 3-1, very solid effort. Scott Wedgwood getting injured does hurt. He's played so great. Mackenzie Blackwood, though, stepped in and played well. And Mackenzie Blackwood will start, obviously, tonight with Wedgwood now sidelined. But he's played better lately. I said after the slow start when he came back from his injury absence that he struggled a bit those first couple starts. Well, he's been great in the last 3 starts for Colorado. Back-to-back shutouts he had against San Jose and Nashville. And then he obviously was in for the 7-2 win against Montreal, where he only gave up 2 goals in that game. So he's played a lot better. Mackenzie Blackwood in his last few starts. I mean, it's just fun to watch Nate McKinnon right now. This guy just is unbelievable at the moment. He just can't be stopped, scoring almost every night, making something happen for the Colorado Avalanche. What I've been impressed with is the defensive play. They're playing really good in their own zone as well. Penalty kill's been good. Goaltending's been excellent from either guy, Blackwood and Wedgwood, this season. And the one thing that's concerning about the Islanders is even though they snapped their losing streak and finally got a win on this homestand beating Tampa Bay the other night, they only won 2-1, and they're still having issues putting the puck in the net. And it's still a string of games where the Islanders are scoring 2 goals or less. So that is concerning right now about the Islanders, and certainly when you consider the way Colorado's playing defensively right now. So I sprinkled on the draw. That's about it, because I could see this being a competitive game. The one thing about Colorado is you look at their road record this year, their road track record, they've had a few games go to overtime or shootout on the road. In fact, Colorado, that's the one thing that really stuck out to me when I was doing my work on this game overnight and early this morning, is that Colorado at Minnesota, 3-2 shootout loss. Colorado at Chicago, didn't go to overtime, but it was only 1-0. Colorado at Vancouver, 5-4 overtime win. Colorado at San Jose, 3-2 overtime loss. Colorado at New Jersey, 4-3 overtime loss. Colorado at Utah, 4-3 overtime loss. A lot of draws on the road for Colorado. And we know the Islanders are always capable of a tight, close 1-goal game with an overtime potential. So I sprinkled on the draw here, Colorado and the Islanders. That's it. I lean under, actually, because I think there could be. Colorado's been an under machine on the road this year, if you could believe it. Colorado's played a lot of low and slow hockey away from the ball arena. So keep that in mind for this game. But the only move I've made pregame is a small draw bet here. Alex, what do you think? Colorado, New York Islanders.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like we're all kind of looking at the Colorado schedule and wondering, when's the trip up? When are they going to lose? And when are they going to lose in regulation? And what I was teetering on last night was, do I want to take this shot or any shot if I'm going against Colorado, do I want to just go on and take them to regulation? This is not one of those spots. If the Owls get the win here, I feel like it would be a game that goes into overtime or a shootout. So this will be a small dog and draw split for me. I'll grab a piece of 160, very small, because I can always add to this. Odds are Colorado gets the first goal of the game, right? And then now we're looking at 220, 230. But I do like that draw here at plus 350. That's a decent price. Like you said, Colorado's been playing a little bit more lower and slow on the road, which is certainly the way the Owls will want it. They don't want to get into a track meet with this team. So draw, but I will have a little piece of Isles, and it would not shock me one bit if this is 3-2 Isles winning the shootout.
Remember the Islanders started the year, 7-0, 8-0, or something like that to the over? Well, now on the season, they are suddenly 14 unders, 13 overs. It's gone right back to 500 and 9-1 under run for the New York Islanders in their last 10 games. 9-1 to the under entering tonight's game. As far as props go, again, I would target, McKinnon. Obviously, I'm not going to talk anyone out of it, but obviously you're not getting the value with him that you would get with other players down the lineup. But Brock Nelson's the one that stands out. How do you not? Former Islander playing against his old team. Brock Nelson scored in back-to-back games here for the Colorado Avalanche as well. So I think that's certainly significant and worth a look here in this game is Brock Nelson back in Long Island, if you will.
If you like Colorado to win the game, that might be a creative way to knock that price down. Colorado money line was Brock Nelson getting a goal.
That's right. No doubt. And he scored against the Islanders in Denver when they played earlier this season, these two teams head-to-head. So now don't put everything you own on Brock Nelson. Don't do that. But, well, you can if you want. It's your money. But like I said, it's certainly worth a bet. No doubt about it. Like I said, it's and plus it's not just he's facing the Islanders, and back in Long Island. It's that he scored against them earlier this year, and he scored in back-to-back games for Colorado entering tonight. So, yeah, it's pretty hard not to look toward Brock Nelson in some form here tonight as far as player props for the Colorado Avalanche are concerned. No question about that. As far as the Islanders, Max Shabanov's up on the top line with Horvat and Heineman. And Heineman, I've always said, worth a shot, given where he is right now in the lineup for the Islanders. So maybe Drouin for the Islanders. He's a former Av. now with the Islanders. So a couple props that do stand out. Again, I don't know how many goals we're going to get, but I still think from a prop standpoint, some decent opportunities there. All right, Nashville and Florida. It's Sorokin, of course, in net for the Islanders. Nashville, Florida. We've got Florida minus 190, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. This is one of the dogs. You know I don't like Nashville very much. You know that. But Florida opened more than minus 200, and actually that's when I took Nashville, and it's come down a bit since then. I've got a dog and team total over split here with Nashville. Goalie Bob's in net, but he's struggled of late. Jonathan Davis posted in our group chat how he's given up, 3 goals or more the majority of his recent starts. It's just Florida's not right at the moment. You're talking about pricing the worst team, the team that's dead last in the Atlantic Division right now, as a minus 200 favorite. And I know Nashville's not great. Certainly Florida's capable of bouncing back and winning, and I expect focus from the Panthers now losing multiple games in a row at home. Calgary, Philly, Toronto, 3 straight home losses. But we're betting prices, not teams. Florida's not playing at the level of a minus 190 right now. It's really that simple. And if anything for Nashville, when you get pumped 8-3 in your home building by the Florida Panthers last week, you should want to show something tonight if you're Nashville going on the road here against this Panthers team. So I do like the idea of taking a shot here. Plus 160, Nashville split with the team total, which is nice, cheap, over 2.5 at around even money. I got in on over 5.5 overnight, and I knew this was going to move, and these have been transitioning over teams lately. Both of them have struggled to keep the puck, especially Florida. You can't resemble, or it doesn't even resemble the Florida team defensively we saw last year, 2 years ago right now. They're really having a tough time keeping the puck out. So I thought at 5.5, it was good value to the over. We're seeing 6, even some 6.5s appear. So I still lean that way. I think it's still worth a look, even at the 6 that we're seeing right now. We do expect UC Saros in net for Nashville. It is Bobrovsky, of course, as I mentioned, for Florida. And no change in the injury situation for Florida. Nobody is coming back. Everybody's still out that was out before. The usual suspects: Tkachuk, Nosek, Kulikov, Gadjevich, Barkov, Lusterinen. They're all still out. Alex, anything here? Nashville, Florida.
So I jumped in. I think we all kind of did this last night on the betcast. We got that 5.5 at minus 134.
And Adam, our good buddy, who's on our betcasts a lot, he mentioned it too. That it was going to move, and I knew it would.
Yeah. And so then it went to 6 overnight, and then I saw 6.5 at DraftKings. It was like about maybe an hour before we went on air. So there are some 6s available. I would still recommend the 6 at minus 15. I see that at Caesars and at BetMGM. Up to 120 with a 6 is fine. But as far as sides, I know it's not March, but I'm gonna use a March phrase. There's no reason to bet on 2 bad teams right now. As far as the side goes, I wish you well with Nashville, but I don't want to touch the Preds. And like you said, it makes all the sense in the world to pay Florida right now at these prices. Like, this is crazy. They're a bad team. So I'm just going with the total. I got that over 5.5, but I do like 6.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just, like I said, I'm no big Nashville fan. There's no doubt. But like I said, I think there's value in this price. I don't mind it one bit. Reed Schaefer got his first NHL goal against Calgary for Nashville. Problem is he's on the 4th line. I don't think I'm that excited to bet him here. I mean, he's not getting the ice time, on the 4th line, but he made the most of it, obviously, the other night. Ozzy Wiesblatt as well finally got his first NHL goal. This guy has been obviously up with the Preds for a long time, but Evangelista probably has the best value if you're looking at props for the Nashville Predators. Looks like there's some line juggling for Paul Maurice. Brad Marchand, Lundell, and Reinhart are together tonight. Sam Miskevich is back down to the second line here with Bennett and Verhaeghe. So trying to find a combination that can kickstart this struggling Florida team. All right, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 160, home favorites, 6.5 the total. This was 6, but more books have 6.5 than not. Actually, some still have 6. So shop around with the total here. Penguins and Lightning. This is another dog and team total split for me, believe it or not. Here's what I like about baiting Tampa here. They have done a remarkable job with no Victor Hedman, no Ryan McDonough, who's actually re-signed to a contract extension today by the Tampa Bay Lightning. He gets re-upped. But no McDonough, no Hedman, no Chernak. They've all been out on the blue line here for repeated games for the Tampa Bay Lightning, multiple games in a row, and no Braden Point up front as well. And somehow they've still managed to win games, but they finally had their 7-game win streak snapped at the hands of the New York Islanders in their last game. And by the way, Jonas Johansson starting tonight, we were wondering why that is. You're coming off a loss. You're back home. Vasi's been amazing. Why is he not playing? Well, it's a personal matter of some kind. John Cooper would not get into specifics this morning, only to say that Andrei Vasilevsky is not available here for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, but Jonas Johansson is. Now, this is not this is not strictly a anti Jonas Johansson position for me with Pittsburgh tonight, because he's actually played all right. His numbers are not that bad this season for the Tampa Bay Lightning overall, especially on the road, but he's not playing on the road. And I still remember the Vancouver home game where he gave up 5 goals and he struggled. But he's still someone I got to see more, him continue to play well as far as this is concerned moving forward. And, Pittsburgh is a team that up and down, they're certainly capable of losing to Tampa Bay here tonight, but they're coming off a little momentum, beating Philly. They bounced back and responded, answered the bell after just a dreadful game at home against Toronto on Saturday night. So I think Pittsburgh here, the lines come down a bit. I agree there was value at the certainly earlier. It's down to plus 140. Penguins plus 140 team total over split. I like the full game over as well. Just the full game over at 6 because of the fact that the first period, both teams have kind of been unders early and then the goals flood in later. Philly-Pittsburgh's a perfect example of that. You only got the 1 goal in the first period, and then all the goals came after that in that Penguins and Flyers game. So I like the full game over 6, and I've got Penguins and team total over split. Team total for the Penguins is over 2.5 at minus 130, the price on that.
Yeah.
A little bit on the draw, too, simply because of the fact that we have seen Pittsburgh on the road at times also kind of trend toward games going to overtime here. So there you go. Penguins money line, team total over split, over 6, and a draw. Small draw bet. Alex, Penguins Lightning.
Yeah, I went with the Penguins team total over 3 at MGM plus $1.05 because those 2.5s are now at 140, 145, so it's a little bit higher. But I was kind of giggling because I was like, how did this line still stay at 155, 160 with Johansson starting? Yes, he has played better. He's 5-2. But like I said, I expected more of a drop here. So at plus 140, there's still actually some value with the Penguins as a dog. So I'll play that small, but I like that team total look a bit more.
And these are spots I don't mind. I like these spots where a team's been on a very long win streak. It gets snapped, and sometimes you lose again. And especially when you're missing key pieces. Like, credit to Tampa Bay. And they've shown that maybe they win tonight without Hedman and McDonough and Chernak, 3 starting defensemen, and Point again tonight. Maybe they do win again. But when you have gone that long winning without key guys, you finally lose. Sometimes then the bloom is off the rose a bit, and you stumble a couple of times. And then you start to realize, holy shit, maybe we do need these guys back. And let's be honest, they do. Lightning are a better team with Hedman, with McDonough, with Chernak, and with Point. We're not splitting the atom, figuring that one out.
You're basically fading the bumper snumper theory.
Yeah,
when you do that.
That's right.
Which we've seen that happen. So
Yeah. So and like I said, I just thought at the opener, especially, and then hearing the announcement that JJ was starting, Jonas Johansson, that it was worth looking in the direction. That being said, even though I like Pittsburgh in this game, who we're betting. Nick Paul, you got it. No doubt. I would take a look, too, at Dominic James for Tampa Bay. This is a guy that's up the lineup, too, right now. He scored in the last game for them against the New York Islanders. He got their only goal, actually, against the Islanders. I think there might be a little bit of value there with his props going into this game. You can never argue with what's Sidney Crosby to score a goal. He's been awesome. He's on pace for over 50 goals. I say Kevin Hayes again. Keep an eye on him. He did score into the empty net, I believe, the other night for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's plus 450, and he's playing with Crosby and Rust. It is really good value right now with the he's not a speed burner, but he's up there on the top line with Crosby and Rust. That Kevin Hayes is probably worth a look, at the prices we're seeing with him as far as goal prop tonight in this game. All right, next up, we've got the New York Rangers and Ottawa Senators. Ottawa minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I mean, it's funny. We talked about this game. John Massey, one of our favorites, truly one of our favorites. Like he is. If we had to pick an Ice Guys Family Hall of Fame class, he'd be one of the first ballot inductees. He would be. John Massey, no question. He's absolutely one of our favorites of the entire group of viewers, listeners, and our audience. he was not rushing to endorse his New York Rangers tonight. And then he apparently didn't, when he said that, he didn't realize what the opening number and the opening line, the opening price was on this game. When I said to him that Ottawa opened minus 160 in this game against the New York Rangers, he changed his tune in a hurry. He said, oh my God, they're that high of a favorite, Ottawa, in this spot? Minus 160 home favorites in the dreaded spot of a lifetime, which has failed teams multiple times in this situation. And he said, oh, you have to bet the Rangers now at the price like this. Now, this was something he told me off air last night after the betcast ended. So, now the problem with that is the minus 160s are long gone. Ottawa's down to minus 130, and a lot of the value's been sucked out of the New York Rangers now. But it's still Rangers for me, and here's why. This is Ottawa coming home off a 7-game road trip. Do you know how tough these have been for teams in these spots and situations? I'll give you 2 clear examples, and they're recent ones, so everyone should remember these. New York Islanders were on a 6-7 game length road trip, very similar to this, and it was a great road trip. What happened when they came home and they faced a Blues team that's actually been pretty lousy this year? Yeah, they gave up the first goal, and they lost that game back home after that long road trip. What happened to the Edmonton Oilers? 7-game road trip, the same length as the road trip here for Ottawa that they're returning home from tonight. What happened to Edmonton first home game after a 7-game road trip? They didn't just lose. They got dummied. They got destroyed by Dallas. 8-3 coming back home for that first game off a long road trip, and they gave up the first goal quickly in that game. And I feel the same way here for Ottawa. It's just too difficult. When you've been on the road that long, and now you're back home. And now the distractions of coming back home off a road trip of that length are even greater, because why? We're closing in on the Christmas holidays. That's why. So, like I said, it's just a brutal, dismal spot in the schedule, in my opinion, here for the Ottawa Senators. Could they overcome it and still win? Sure, but I don't trust them to. We've got the New York Rangers, who showed me a little guts, which I like to see. Even without Adam Fox, came back, beat Dallas the other night, 3-2 in overtime. We've got them in their better split. They've been a way better road team all season than they've been at home. We know that. So to me, I like Rangers first goal, first period in this game. I like that quite a bit. Jump on this Ottawa team, road weary after the 7 games away from home. I like Rangers money line. Now, I got plus 140. It's only plus 110 now. It's a big, big difference. But, yeah, Rangers for me here, plus 110. I don't hate Rangers team total over, but with this Rangers team, sometimes you're always worried with, the offense kind of sporadic, that maybe it's a 2-1 win or a 2-0 win, something like that. So I don't love the team total. But I like Rangers money line, Rangers first goal of first period. You can get that at a plus price at FanDuel. DraftKings, too, has that market. So make sure, because I had someone saying, where do you find that? Where do you find that? I can't see it. FanDuel and DraftKings will always give you that first goal of the first period.
And
MGM, too.
BetMGM has that as well.
Yeah, MGM, too.
Yeah, so I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you on that first goal, first period. And I would even suggest, if you want to take range, I'm a little hesitant on Rangers money line. And I could probably, at this price now, with it being close to pick 'em range, I could wait and grab it live. But if you want to grab it now, you could tie those two together as well. Rangers to score first and to win the game, because they're still at plus money. You'd be bumping that up closer to probably plus 140, plus 150.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, as far as props for this game, not a whole lot here, but Will Cooley, I'm interested. He scored last game for the Rangers, and he is up the lineup. Jake Sanderson, I have to dabble with the goal prop, plus 550, back-to-back games with a goal, and we've seen it before from Jake Sanderson. When he starts shooting the puck, sometimes it starts going in for him at a little bit of a consistent clip, and certainly we're starting to see that. Another reason why the money's come in on the Rangers, too, in my opinion, is probably the decision to start Levy Merrilainen here as well for the Ottawa Senators. He's been confirmed. Now, he's been up and down. Like, he started the season pretty well, but the last time we saw him, he was in net for that game against St. Louis on their road trip. They lost that, and the Blues haven't been scoring, and yet they still managed to put 4 goals in past Levy Merrilainen and the Ottawa Senators in that game. Black Friday it was last week. So, there's still some consistency issues, which you expect from a young goalie like Merrilainen. Shesterkin will be in net for the Rangers. The Rangers are also 4-1 last 5 meetings against the Senators, so they have played well in the past in recent games against this Ottawa team. All right, next up, we've got St. Louis and Boston. Blues minus 140, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. So I initially said on the betcast last night, because we had an impromptu, discussion start about the Thursday card last night during the betcast, that I know it's Jim Montgomery going back to Boston. He's coaching, against the team that fired him for the first time since it happened last year. I think that's a little something that stokes the fire of the team for that coach. There's no doubt. I don't trust Boston with the injuries right now. I know they beat Detroit on the weekend at home, but they lost to them 5-4 in the rematch. They're still without Pasternak. They're still without Charlie McAvoy on the blue line. But the problem is, how do you bring yourself? Because I had St. Louis circled in this spot. I really wanted to bet St. Louis. I do still want to bet St. Louis in this spot. But minus 140 on the road with a team that's playing like St. Louis is right now, I mean, it's just hard to get to that price right now with what we're seeing from the St. Louis Blues. So what I have done is just a tiny pregame bet on them at this price, and the hope is to maybe add a plus price if they fall behind. That's about it. I can't go bigger than that. Not pregame at minus 140. I like the spot. I like how it sets up for St. Louis, but at the end of the day, it's minus 140 on the road, and the team's miserable. They're not scoring, and the funny thing about Montgomery is he knows this team's not scoring right now. He's trying to change up the lines again tonight, and it looks like it's another blender here out for the Blues, where now Braden Shen, Robert Thomas, and won't you be my neighbor, Jake Neighbors, are going to be the top line. Holloway has been dropped to the Suter-Kyrou unit on the second line. So again, Montgomery's trying to find some offense here, because that's been the problem for St. Louis. They're just not putting the puck in the net as a team right now. That's why they've been 8-2 to the under as well in their last 10 games. I mean, you look at this. This is a 2 goals or less in 8 of the last 9 games stretch for the St. Louis Blues offensively. So it has really been tough sledding for this team. I really like the Montgomery angle in this spot. I don't trust the Boston team with all the injuries they've got, including by far their best player, best scorer, Pasta, who's going to miss again. But I'm so disappointed. They've still got the Blues with their current form and their goal scoring woes out there as a minus 140 road favorite. So we can't go any more than just a small, tiny Blues wager pregame with the hope of maybe getting in at plus money if they fall behind in game at some point. That's all we can do here as far as that's concerned. Alex, what do you think? St. Louis, Boston.
Now, you talked about the lack of scoring with these two teams, but I actually think we see some goals early. I like the first period over. I grabbed the minus $1.15, and I grabbed both teams to score. And I think we're going to see that energy and spark because of the fact that this is the Montgomery series. I think we see the Blues and Bruins I think this is going to be kind of a physical spot. I could see it maybe being some just kind of chippiness and nastiness, and maybe 4-on-4 spot, a little open ice action, and maybe we get some goals back and forth. But then it could kind of crater down, and then that's where we kind of see this maybe going to a lull. I'll take a shot with the draw here too. It's not my favorite.
Kastelik Braden Shen fight. I'd love to see that.
That would be great. That would be great. I could see it be a little animosity early. Like I said, I'm sure Jim's gonna rile his team up and maybe have a speech ready saying, this what happened here and moving forward, things of that nature. And it goes in line with how the Blues are playing right now too. You need a fresh start. And where better to get it than here in Boston. So I like the first period over. I like both teams to score, and I have a little piece of that draw at plus 320, plus 325 shop around.
Yeah, I think that's not bad for the draw. I could see it. I probably will dabble in the draw here with St. Louis and Boston. As far as like I said, for props, keep an eye on it. I think Neighbors I'll sprinkle on because he's up on the top line for St. Louis tonight. That maybe gets him going a little, hopefully gets him going. I think for Boston, Geeky and Alex Steeves. You got to consider Alex Steeves because they've got him now on the top line for Boston, and that guy scored 2 goals against Detroit. He's got 4 in the last 4 games. So Alex Steeves, this is a guy that was in the Leaf organization at one point. There's great value, I think, maybe to look at Alex Steeves right here in this game tonight. And yes, Binnington and Korpisalo, that's another thing with the overs that Alex likes. We're not getting Swayman tonight. We're getting Korpisalo in net for the Boston Bruins. So that's another reason why I think it sets up nicely for the Blues tonight. But like I said, I was just hoping for a better price pregame. All right, let's see what we've got next. All right, next up we've got Detroit and Columbus. Columbus minus 120 home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Both of these teams should bring some extra pep in their step tonight because they both snapped pretty lengthy losing streaks in their last game. Columbus ended a long losing streak, beating New Jersey 5-3 in what was a very tense, bad blood. I can't. So, by the way, circle New Year's Eve, Blue Jackets Devils on your calendar, because Sheldon Keefe is flapping his gums after that game about what Fantilli's doing. After although all he was trying to do was defend, Brendan, defend their guys. Obviously, New Jersey sticking up for Dillon. That's all that was. But they really got upset by what happened to Brendan Dillon, New Jersey, in that game. Everson was clapping back at some of the stuff Sheldon Keefe was saying after that game the other night. So look out. There could be a little bit of a powder keg waiting to explode when it's Devils and Jackets. I think it's in Columbus, that game, on New Year's Eve, the rematch. So, like I said, that could be fun. Get your popcorn ready for New Year's Eve with New Jersey and Columbus. But a big win for Columbus. And what I was impressed with was in the midst of all the bad blood, the multiple fights, and everything that was going on away from when the whistle was blown and all the scrums and all that. They won the hockey game after a terrible start, and you got to give them credit. That was much needed win for Columbus, 5-3 over New Jersey. And just like Detroit, now it wasn't pretty. They hung on at the end, but they beat Boston 5-4 the other night. That snapped a bit of a losing streak as well for the Detroit Red Wings. So it's tough to I kind of want to back Detroit off snapping a long losing streak, and I kind of want to back Columbus off snapping a long losing streak, but they're playing each other. One thing I am very reluctant to do is back Columbus now that I know Elvis Merzlikins, though, is in net. It continues to be just inconsistent with him. He's confirmed in net. It's just, the same old with him. Usually he's going to give up 3-4 majority of his starts, and you just got to hope you outscore the issues if you're Columbus. And when you look at both of these teams, the offense was a much-needed breakout for the Jackets offensively after struggling to score goals, getting the 5 against New Jersey. But both of these teams have had issues defensively of late. You look at these recent games for both of these teams. Detroit entering tonight, they have allowed 3 goals or more in 6 straight games. So that's not what you want to see. And, of course, Gibson was not good against Boston again. Talbot's capable, but he's capable of standing on his head, and he's equally capable of giving up 4 or 5. So you never know what you're going to get from Talbot from a night-to-night basis. He is going to get the start here tonight, most likely. It hasn't been confirmed, but I'm expecting Talbot. Like I said, Merzlikins for Columbus. But Columbus, they've given up 3 goals or more now in 4 of their last 5 games as well. So, like I said, what I like, though, more than all, like I said, I like these teams in these spots as bet on spots for Detroit and Columbus, but they're playing each other. So it's like splitting hairs. Love this over, though. Absolutely love this over at 6.5, because the one thing that stood out immediately when looking at this game, and these bets relying on these over bets lately for me, relying on series history, have really been paying off. Look at Montreal, Ottawa Tuesday. Look at Buffalo, Philadelphia last night. If you are betting overs based on series history, you're cashing right now. We have had 6 straight overs between the Detroit Red Wings and Columbus Blue Jackets head to head, and all 6 of those meetings have had at least 7 goals. At least in the 6 straight overs between the Red Wings and Jackets. 8-2 to the over in the last 10 meetings as well. So full game over, and only full game over, 6.5. This is not a bifecta, and I'll tell you why. Because some of these high-scoring overs have been 1-0 first periods. More than one. There's been a lot of these where the first period over has not cashed between these two teams, but then the goals and the floodgates open in the second and in the third period between Detroit and Columbus. So over 6.5, minus 105. But what I will throw out there as a live betting piece of advice for this game is that if you find this get off to a scoreless or 1-0 start after the first period, jump in on a live over, because the pattern has been things just go haywire and just goals bonanza explosion in the last 40 minutes of a lot of these Red Wings Blue Jackets games in recent years. Alex, and I like the draw a little bit here in this game as well. Alex, what do you think? Detroit, Columbus.
Now I'm right there with that over. Like I said, and that's a great idea. If you 6.5, I did end up playing that. I actually got minus $1.05. I'm seeing 15s everywhere, but that's still worth playing. But definitely look for grabbing a piece, or like I said, you play it small and grab something extra in game at a 5.5. Go grab a 6 flat at a plus price. But I definitely look at that. I don't see this being high scoring right out of the gate. Could take some time to open up. But I definitely like draw here. And I talked about this with Columbus last game. I said I didn't like that overtime. We've been seeing this pattern where they had back-to-back games go past regulation, and then a game ended in regulation. Last game ended in regulation, so I'm right back to that pattern. I am taking the draw here and give me Sir Patrick Kane to get the game winner for Detroit at 80-1.
There you go, Sir Patrick Kane with a overtime game winner shot, which Alex has taken a lot of those throughout the course of the early part of the season. As far as props here with Detroit and Columbus, 2-game goal streaks for Raymond and for Monahan. I think the last I checked, Monahan was questionable, but he's good to go. And by the way, I want to point out, big return for Columbus tonight. Kirill the Thrill, the other Kirill the Thrill, Marchenko, is back from injury tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And obviously he's had a great season so far. So that definitely helps the Blue Jackets offensively, getting him back. As far as, like I said, for props here, Fantilli's been good lately, no question. Sillinger, there's value with Monahan and with Johnson. I would say, too, Denton Mateychuk, and I know this is Perlo's guy. Perlo is committed to betting Denton Mateychuk every game this year, apparently, to score a goal. And he says he expects him to profit out of it. He might go on 6-7 games where he doesn't score, but the one game that he does score will make up for it because he's like plus 1,200 most nights to find the back of the net, which is actually not a bad way to consider that, because you're right. You're getting those, double-digit, prices with Denton Mateychuk, the blue liner for Columbus. And he has been getting more involved in the play and the offense and the power play opportunity. And like I said, you're getting in a lot of these games 10-1, 12-1 with him to score. So, like I said, always worth maybe a little bit of a look, no question, as far as his props are concerned from the back end. And Detroit, right now, Raymond starting to heat up, which is good to see. Emmett Finney still on the top line, so maybe a look toward those two for Detroit. Toronto and Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 200 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. This is tough because Toronto is a team that I'm seeing them out of the abyss now. I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. The back-to-back performances they put together, 7-2 and 4-1 victories over Pittsburgh and Florida, back-to-back. You can see they're starting to build some momentum. And at the fact they're getting healthier too. Matthews, Nyes, most of their blue line, aside from Carlo now, is healthy, and Tanev is healthy. That's helped. Joe Wool's back, and he's been not just good, he's been excellent during this stretch, giving the Leafs a chance to win every night. I think there's great value with Toronto because Carolina's been middling and meandering lately with their play. My one concern is Carolina's been off since Sunday with no travel. And in a condensed schedule like this, to get those, 3 days off between games is like treasure at the bottom of the sea with the way this season's going, and the condensed schedule and how many games are being packed in, that when you have those very few opportunities to have 3 days off between games, it could mean great things for the team going into a game like this. So I worry about that a little bit, and that's certainly a benefit for Carolina in this game, that they've been off since that 1-0 overtime win against Calgary on Sunday with no travel. But I do think this line's a little bit overpriced, especially if we're going to get unsteady Freddie Anderson in net for the Hurricanes. He's just been a mess. I would borderline mess this year, quite honestly, for the Carolina Hurricanes. Just not been great at all. And I know Jonathan Davis has mentioned it on the in our YouTube chat in the past, mentioning how in a lot of these games Anderson's given up 3, and it's true. Anderson in the last 6 starts, 3-3-3, 4-3-3. That's what he's given up. It's just not typical of Frederik Andersen right now for this Hurricanes team at this point in time. And, Rod Brindamore's trying to be careful with him, paces starts, number of games that he's in net, work Bussy in. Obviously, when Kochetkov comes back, work him in. And Kochetkov is back, apparently. He was skating. So it looks like he's going to be ready to start at some point here for Carolina. And if it's not tonight, it could be on the weekend sometime. But I think at this price being offered here, and a revenge spot too for the Leafs, they lost a heartbreaker when they were gutted with injuries to Carolina at home, 5-4. I'm going to dabble in Toronto here at plus 185. I don't love it like I did the Florida spot the other night because I think Carolina is still better than the current version of Florida, obviously. But at plus 180, I think Toronto's worth a little bit of a sprinkle here. And the team total as well. Over 2.5, minus 110, because of the fact Freddie Anderson's in net, and he's just a 3+ goal allowance machine right now for this Hurricanes team in net. And all you need is 3. So, Alex, what do you think here? Leafs Hurricanes.
I really like this draw. It's a dog and draw for me, but it's like 20% dog, 80% draw, and I can always grab more on Leafs in game. But I feel like this could confidently be a game where it's battling back and forth and kind of just slows down if it's tied 2-2, 3-3. Both teams get their point and settle it after that. I would take a shot with Nylander to get the game winner at 70-1. But like I said, I like that draw. Plus 360 is the price I got at FanDuel.
All right, good stuff indeed. Yeah, and another thing that was I don't want to. It's not alarming. Carolina is going to be okay. Carolina is just going through a little, malaise right now. Every team's going to go through it where they've just been, the wins they've done enough to get by, and obviously they've had some disappointing, like the Buffalo game. That was very disappointing. The Ranger game was very disappointing to lose that game at home. Only beating Calgary 1-0 in a game that had nothing going on as far as any sort of pace or rhythm to that game. Their wins is what concerns me. Going back to November 14th, they're 5-4 in their last 9 games. The 5 wins: Vancouver, stink; Boston, not the greatest; Winnipeg with a bunch of injuries; Winnipeg again struggling, bunch of injuries; and then Calgary. Those have been the wins lately for Carolina. Not a great resume, of recent wins, for this Carolina Hurricanes team entering tonight. All right, good stuff. Let's move on to next up. There we go. Minnesota and Calgary. Now, this one stinks to high heaven. You got Minnesota minus 110, even money now. Actually, no, minus 120 is still out there. So slight road favorites, but not like they were overnight, because this got to minus 130, 35. And then we saw buyback on Calgary, probably because we know we're not going to see the brick Wallstead. Jesper Wallsted's not going to start tonight for the Minnesota Wild. We're going to see the Gus bus. John Hines being just vigilant with the rotation and alternating Philip Gustafsson and Jesper Wallstead, alternating starts between them. Dustin Hungry-Lack, the Wolf. Dustin Wolf in net for Calgary. And I knew we'd see Wolf after Cooley finally had a bobble and a stumble the other night, losing 5-1 to the Nashville Predators. Again, for Wolf, this has been a frustrating year. 6-13, 3.16 goals against, .891 save percentage. It's almost unfathomable, that Calgary, he's got a record like that, and he's got goals against and a save percentage like that. Obviously, they've been unbeatable, Minnesota, with Wallstead. With Gustafsson, not nearly as much. That being said, with Gustafsson and right now, there's a bit of a difference with him and Wallstead, no doubt. But I'll say this about Gustafsson. You don't think Gustafsson looks at what Wallstead's doing, which is just putting up zeros and goose eggs and 4 shutouts in his last 6 games and this 7-start win streak that he's on? When you see that, you're not a dummy. You're not an idiot. You realize, if I want to keep this alternating starts thing going, I've got to hold up my end of the bargain and play well. And I've got to be strong in net. Because if I falter at any point, what's going to happen? And maybe it's going to happen eventually anyway, but Wallsted's going to take over as the number 1 guy. If we start to see any sort of decline in Philip Gustafsson in between the pipes for Minnesota. So he is absolutely incentivized and motivated and dialed in to match, or at least try to match, what Jesper Wallsted's doing right now. And we have seen Gustafsson his last few starts. Okay, they lost to Buffalo, but that was an overtime loss, or shootout loss, rather. He only gave up 2 goals in regulation on 33 shots. He still played pretty well despite that result. The Chicago game, they won 4-3. And he gave up 3 goals, but he faced 37 shots. High volume again. He had a shutout against Pittsburgh, 5-0 before that. He won against Vegas and only gave up 2 goals. He's actually been playing good hockey in net, Gustafsson. Not Wallstead good, like not incredible, lights out like Wallstead, but he's played well. He's given the Wild a chance to win every time he's been in net, and the team defense has been good during this stretch as well. This is getting involved with a line that makes not much sense to me, especially when you factor in Calgary off a road trip as well. So this is not an optimal spot for Calgary. So I'm taking Minnesota. It is, very, very, very interesting that it's this cheap. Minnesota in the minus 110 to minus 120 range. But hell, I'm on it. Alex, what do you think? Wild Flames.
Yeah, I grabbed minus $1.10 last night. Like you said, we saw it bounce up to 35 and then come back down. So definitely like it here at minus $1.20. And like you said, it's imperative that Gustafsson continues to keep playing well, because we know what Wallstedt's doing is not going to last the rest of the year. Okay, like this kid's playing out of his mind, but he's going to have some regression at some point.
He'll have his Askarov from last night moment at some point. He will.
Right.
He will.
And you don't want to have a discouraged veteran in Gustafsson now have to jump in once the air of the wall of St. Paul has broken down a bit. You want to keep him fresh. You want to keep him engaged. I like how Hines is doing this rotation. I know the fans here are clamoring. They want Wallstedt every damn night like it's 2005 and he's Marty Brodeur. That's how you run a rookie of all things. You got to have Gus fresh, and I think this is a great spot for him against a bad team, a soft line. Give me the Wild here on the money line.
There you go. I lean unders too. I think Minnesota right now, they are back to the Jacques Lemaire Wild at the moment, from way back in the infancy of the franchise. I mean, it's low scoring, it's tight checking, it's great goaltending, it's just enough offense. 3 straight unders, 8-2 to the under for Minnesota in their last 10 games. So, like I said, you could go. You know what? I might sprinkle on Calgary team total under too. We'll see. But yeah, I'm on Minnesota here as far as the money line is concerned. As far as props go, let me see if there's any change. I know he didn't. They only scored 1 goal, and it was Brodin who got it the other night for the Minnesota Wild in the 1-0 win against Edmonton. But Ryan Hartman is still centering the Zuccarello-Kaprizov line, which means I'm on Ryan Hartman. It's great value. Him centering the top line for the Minnesota Wild with Urov, who was in that spot, out. And, of course, Rossi, who's often been between Zuccarello and Kaprizov, still out for Minnesota. So I like the value there, again, with Ryan Hartman centering the top line for the Minnesota Wild here tonight in this game. Farabee maybe a look for, and Frost actually is someone to maybe consider for Calgary because he's with Huberdeau and Coronado right now on the top line for them. All right, speaking of lines that stink, Seattle and Edmonton. Yes, Edmonton, we've talked about the home woes, and I'm no big Seattle wave the pom-poms for the Seattle Kraken. I don't think this team's particularly good, but minus 200 for Edmonton. We've talked about the home woes. The total here sitting at 5.5, 6 across the board here in this one. Pickard, by the way, in net for Edmonton. Worth noting. No Stu Skinner tonight. It'll be Calvin Pickard getting the start. And you know what? I sometimes am harsh sometimes when goalies are having a tough run. And I think it's safe to say that for Calvin Pickard, it's been a very tough, difficult run for him this season in net for the Edmonton Oilers. But when I pull up the Calvin Pickard player page on RotoWire, and I see RotoWire use the term Pickard has been a disaster this season, that speaks for itself. When you got a major, website like that, basically describing Calvin Pickard's play as a disaster this season, that kind of tells you where he's at. And his numbers, 4.04 goals against average, above 4, the goals against for Pickard, 847 save percentage for Calvin Pickard as well entering this game here tonight. So the numbers aren't great at all. Now, the problem is Seattle's offensively challenged. We don't always trust the Kraken to score goals, but this is an interesting spot. Edmonton off the 1-0 loss to Minnesota. Seattle has not played since being shut out on Saturday by this Edmonton Oilers team in Seattle. 4-0 in that game for Edmonton. And I was on Edmonton first goal, first period, Edmonton first period in that game. I was liking the Oilers in that game early, and they came through for me. But I'm kind of going the other way here, and I feel like I have to. It's just sometimes when you see the same show and on rewind, you have to roll with what you keep seeing. And what we keep seeing from Edmonton is disappointing performances at home. And what we've seen is obviously them struggle with Pickard and net. They're a 5-5 home team. They have given up the first goal at Rogers Place here in Edmonton in 7 of their last 8 home games. They've given up the first goal of the game. So I am going to take Seattle, and this is just basically a standard bet as far as the amount. split between 3 different bets, okay? This is not we're unloading on Seattle with 1 unit on each, okay? Very, very important to differentiate that. But I am on Seattle, first goal of first period. They've been off since Saturday, facing the team that, that shut them out Saturday at home. So I think pep in their step, the Oilers' propensity to give up that first goal at home, which they have done in 7 of their last 8 home games. I was able to get, well, it hasn't moved much, but I was able to get plus 170 on Seattle first goal of the first period at FanDuel. It's plus 165 right now. It's still a great price, in my opinion. How are you going to argue with 7 of the last 8 home games? Edmonton's given up the first goal. So I like Seattle first goal of first period, plus 170. Seattle money line will take the shot, plus 180. Seattle team total over at 2.5 at plus money because Pickard's got a 4+ goals against. So all we're asking for is 3 from Seattle. I'm going to dabble in the over by Fecta. Seattle on the road's been an under machine. That's what worries me. But you got the super system here, which both teams off a shutout loss. That I think both teams push for offense tonight. Seattle will, and certainly I think Edmonton will, after getting goose-egged by the brilliance of Jesper Wallstedt the other night against Minnesota. So the over by Fecta, and it's cheap because you're only talking about a cheaper 1.5 in the first period and a cheaper 5.5 for the full game total. Another thing that's lost in this is that Pickard, for the bifecta, Alex, is that not just is Pickard struggling and the numbers are bad. Joey Decord's taken a downturn in recent games as well. He has not been nearly as sharp. So I think this over bifecta has legs to it. Alex, what do you think? Seattle, Edmonton.
In fact, that's the reason why I'm playing the spots that I'm playing. I like Kraken team total. I like the Kraken first goal in first period. Like I said, we have to keep riding that, fading Edmonton at home, giving up the first goal. But I'm also on over by fact that I'm waiting for that live. I do not have Kraken money line. This wouldn't shock me one bit if this is where Seattle comes out early, maybe jumps out to even a 2-0 lead, and then Edmonton wakes up. And we see the beast.
I'll give you a comparison of what this game could be like. A few weeks ago or even a month ago, it was Columbus at Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Remember that game? Yep. Columbus was up, and Edmonton. Connor McDavid put the cape on in the third period.
Yep.
He went like postal on Columbus, tied the game when they were down by multiple goals, and then they won it in overtime or whatever. Yeah.
It definitely could be one of those spots. So I'm liking Seattle stuff early. Team total for a full game, like I said, 2.5 at a plus price. That's worth it. But Seattle first goal, first period, at plus 170. And then we're looking for the over by effect in game. And maybe we're looking down at 2-0 Seattle, 2-1 Seattle. I can jump on Edmonton live if I'm seeing that pace and tide and that momentum turn.
Good stuff there. All right. As far as props here for this game, one thing to keep in mind as far as the lineups here is that for Seattle, Eberle back in Edmonton and playing with Beniers and McCann, top line for Seattle as well. So I definitely am going to take a shot with Jordan Eberle here for the Seattle Kraken as far as a goal prop. On the Edmonton side, there's not a whole lot of changes being made. I mean, even though it's, Chris Knobloch's trying to keep, some of these lines together multiple games in a row. But Bog Colson and Savoy, are playing with Leon Draisaitl. There could be maybe a look toward those two just because of the opportunity they're getting. Like I said, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, anyone, you can make a good case for Edmonton. There's no doubt. Seattle is no world beater, and I'm not fond of this Seattle team, but this is about price. This is about tendencies, and Edmonton's got to shake the tendencies of slow starts at home, giving up the first goal at home, and being in a battle to win at home before I'm ready to endorse them at a price like this at the moment, no doubt. So like I said, it's a dog-heavy card. There's going to be a card with a lot of plus-price dog. What have I already been on as far as dogs, or at least recommended in some form? Nashville, Pittsburgh, New York Rangers, Toronto, Seattle. And you can be damn sure I can make a case for the underdog in this next game. And last game on the Thursday card, Chicago Blackhawks, Los Angeles Kings. We've got LA minus 220 home favorites here in this game. Total sitting at 5.5 across the board between these two teams. Jonathan Davis follows the Kings, has followed them for a very long time, covered them for a very long time. When he tells you that in that Washington-LA game, and I watched it, I totally agree, it took them getting behind 2-1 to wake up and actually start skating, start moving, start playing. When that first period was an absolute freaking disgrace. And if I'm Jim Hiller, I'm ashamed as a head coach with my team struggling, can't buy a win at home, that I'm coming out at home, needing a win at home to give the fans something to cheer about because they haven't had anything to cheer about hardly this year because you've been so piss poor at home. That you come out and play a first period like that against Washington earlier in the week, that's terrible. That's coaching. That's not having your team ready to play. But it's par for the course for Jim Hiller and all the stuff he's done as head coach of the LA Kings. So that's a problem. It's a problem when it takes you getting whipped and it takes you falling behind and giving up a goal to start playing with some kind of tenacity. And that's exactly what we saw from the LA Kings. It took them falling behind, to get going. The bottom line here is, yes, obviously the Kings aren't going to lose every home game this year. And they're going to obviously at some point, put together a better performance at home. But we're talking about a team that at Crypto.com Arena this year is now 3-8 on home ice this year. 3-8. And you're telling me they're minus 220 road home favorites here in this game against a Chicago team that is Chicago in good form right now? No. They're 1-6 in their last 7 games. It's been a struggle. There's no question about that. But let's also not totally forget that the Seattle game, Bedard got ridiculously handed out a misconduct call, which was totally absurd, allowed Seattle to win that game in a game Chicago could have won. The Buffalo game was a bad game, bad spot, back-to-back. They were all pissed about the Seattle ending, and it was just a bad spot, and they got blown out by Buffalo. But they played Colorado, the best team going right now, tough game. Minnesota, hot as can be, took them to overtime, tough game. Nashville's a bad loss. I can't excuse Chicago for that. And that was one that they had the wake-up call. They came back. They beat Anaheim. And they were toe-to-toe with Vegas the other night in Vegas in that game. It was a back-and-forth game. They had every opportunity to win it. They were up 3-2 in the third period. Unfortunately, they give up the tying goal to Bowman on a failed clearance late in the third. And, of course, they go on to lose in the shootout. Again, though, winnable game. It's not like this has been a brutal 1-6 run for Chicago. They've been in so many games. They've had opportunities. They've had some bad calls go against them. They were in the bad spot against Buffalo. The only one I'll really give them grief for is the Nashville game. You can't lose that game. That's a bad one. But they responded. They beat Anaheim. They could have beat Vegas. I thought, they were at times definitely the better team over Vegas the other night. And to me right now, there's no question their speed can give LA fits because LA is having a hard time keeping up right now. Defensively with some of these teams that just, bing, bing, bing that puck around the offensive zone. There's no question about that. So a lot of concerns here I have for the Kings. No question. The price is astronomical for a team that's just 3-8 here at home. It is, by the way, for the LA Kings, I guess there is good news here that he will return tonight. Drew Doughty, he's back. He's announced that he will return on the blue line. But again, how many times have we seen this? You get a key player back, you don't win. You don't win. You think you're great having Drew Doughty back, and you don't win when you get the key player back. Ask Ottawa how they did when Brady Tkachuk came back that first game. Lost. It's crazy how that works. It's actually almost uncanny. Didn't the Leafs lose too when they got Austin Matthews back? I think they did. So, like I said, when you get a key player back, you think you're better. You think you're going to win. And you still don't win. Sometimes it takes 2-3 games for that player to get back up to form. And oftentimes the team that gets that key cog back doesn't win. So, it does help that Drew Doughty's back. But he's been out for a while. A lot of times teams don't automatically win when they get that key player back. Bottom line is, after all that jargon from yours truly, Chicago for me, plus 190. It's a price I have to take given the LA Kings woes. And what I continue to see is too many listless nights right now from this team on home ice. And I think Chicago team that's got a little fire under their skates tonight after the tough loss to Vegas. And keep in mind, this is a weird scheduling situation here that these teams are going to play back-to-back, head-to-head against one another in LA. They're going to play tonight in LA, and then Saturday once again in LA. And then Chicago's actually got a back-to-back and playing Anaheim Sunday. In Anaheim. So it's an interesting scheduling dynamic here. And the way I look at it is LA is a huge favorite tonight. Let's say LA wins. I'll take Chicago again on Saturday, probably in the rematch. And the hope is to at least get a 1-1 split with the 2 dog shots with Chicago. Either they win tonight, and if they win tonight, maybe I stay off Saturday. I probably won't, though. I'll probably come back to them again if they win tonight. But the bottom line is, if Chicago loses tonight, I'm probably still going to take them at a very similar price on Saturday in the rematch against the Kings. Alex, what do you think here? Chicago, LA.
Now, you make an interesting point, and that's kind of what I wanted to lead off with this game with, like I said, the back-to-back setup, basically a series between tonight and Saturday. If the Hawks win this game, which I do believe they will, I like Hawks plus 190. I like Hawks team total over 2.5 plus 110. But you win this game, you're in LA on Friday night, and then you got to go right back to that building, same teams on Saturday. But then you also have, like you said, on Sunday, Anaheim, who you just played at home, who you just had a very feisty 5-3 win against, back and forth, Bedard chirping the bench, the fight after the game. I wouldn't touch the Hawks at all, win or lose on Saturday. I'd actually be on LA Saturday in some form or fashion. Okay. I love the Hawks in this spot. I like the Hawks on Sunday, but I think this is a sandwich over the next 3 games. Hawks, fade Hawks, back Hawks. That's the way I'm looking at it over the next 3 games. So we start here. Give me Hawks money line, give me Hawks team total, and I also have my bargain bin for this game.
Yeah, I haven't bet the team total because I worry it could be one of these 2-1 deals. The Kings sometimes drag teams into that type of game, but they could squeeze out. You can always hope for they get 2 and then the empty nets in play late. We've seen that. That was the case with the Washington loss the other night, where I think it was 2-1, and it was an empty netter for the Capitals to put them over their team total in that game, in that 3-1 win against LA earlier this week. Yeah, that was an empty net goal from Protas with 1:42 left that made it 3-1 Washington on Monday night. So like I said, we'll see. Perlo saying if Forsberg is in net, Blackhawks team total over. I'm okay even if it's Kemper, quite honestly, for the Kings with it. We'll see. But like I said, I think it's going to be Kemper, but hasn't been confirmed. Night
is confirmed.
Night is confirmed, yeah. I think Soderblom would get the Saturday game against LA. That's my thought. They're not going to start Night twice against the same team.
No. And definitely save Night for that Anaheim game, like I said, on Sunday.
Yeah. That's I think, going to be Jeff Blashill's plan in net. It's going to be Night to Night, Soderblom Saturday, and back to Night for Sunday in Anaheim. Yeah, Bertuzzi props 2 in a row with a goal. Kempe 2 in a row with a goal. Connor Bedard. I still can't believe the release on the 3-2 goal, and I still can't believe the shootout goal from the other night from Connor Bedard. Absolutely ridiculous, absurd stuff. Burakovsky, Nazar, Green. I'm going to go back to the well with Ryan Green. Ryan Green is getting chances every night I watch him play right now for Chicago. So definitely liking that.
One note with the forward groups. It's Oliver Moore moving up to the second line, Taro Teravainen moving down the third line.
And Oliver Moore, like I said, that's probably a little value for him playing now with Frank the Tank and Tyler Bertuzzi. Frank the Tank and Bert, and now Oliver Moore alongside on that second line. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. If this is a rough night for these underdogs, man, yours truly is going to be moping like you can't believe on the show. No, I'm kidding. I'll put it behind me if it's a bad night for these underdogs. But I'd certainly be in a much better mood if some of these cash in. I'm not looking to win all of them, obviously. The goal is, we have a handful of plus price tickets in pocket. Yeah, we want to win every bet, of course. But you certainly want to at least get, 2 or 3 or even 4 of them I'll take would be great. And I think we have many live dog shots here on this Thursday NHL card. So shout out to everyone. Appreciate it. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. We got the leaderboards now. Finally, we got records. You can see how everyone's doing, and I know that's big. It's part of what makes our website different from the rest. We're transparency, honesty. You get to see how every handicapper is performing, so make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. Number 1 in the NHL at that site, by the way, right now, since it launched. So
very nice.
Great to be there. Like I said, it's been a great season. We're looking to keep it going. College basketball has been great lately for me, too. 2-0 sweep with the college hoops last night. Check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. I'm there, Alex, Matt Robinson, tons of great handicappers, wizardsportspicks.com. And thanks to everyone that signed up before the live betcast last night, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. We thank you for coming on board. You're going to get goalie charts, totals charts, all our bonus content, the daily betting card, all our sides, totals, and player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So thank you for joining. It's only $10 per month, and your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term so we can provide you this show 7 days a week every single year. So check it out, $10 per month. Get on board, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Cyber Week continues. You can get 20% off all orders. Click on the redeem button at the homepage, add all your items to checkout, and 20% will be taken out. Then you can get that for the next 4 days as part of Cyber Week. Save and definitely order now if you want it in time for Christmas. You want that under the tree, gifts to give to your loved ones. Now's the time to take advantage of that 20% off deal for the next 4 days. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Check it out. Cyber Week deal. Check it out. Get on board. And right now, order all your stuff. Anything you want from the Ice Guys store, gear and merch, get it now. You want it under the tree.
It will be guaranteed to get home, to get there for Christmas if you order now. So.
Yep, exactly. So now's the time, no doubt, to get involved with some Ice Guys store merch. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check it out, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, bargain bin special of the night for the Thursday slate. Cooled off just slightly the last couple nights with the bargain bin special, but no better time than tonight to find a winner in the bargain bin. Alex, bargain bin special of the night. I think we got... I hear him. It's just, you know what it is? It's when the screen freezes. This has happened to me before, too. We'll get Alex in a sec.
You got me?
We got you. We hear you. Yeah.
Hello?
I think we heard him. Yeah, that's happened to me before, too. I know it. I know. I've been there. Trust me, with this the screen just freezing at an inopportune time. So I know what that's about. But yeah, we'll get Alex back in a moment here. In the meantime, a bargain bin special of the night for me. Let me just see if the bargain bin that I had in mind is. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, a couple books have it right on the nose at plus 300. Brock Nelson, Colorado, plus 300, right on the button. Brock Nelson, Colorado, plus 300. We will go with that. I liked it. He scored in back-to-back games for the Colorado Avalanche. Going back to face the New York Islanders in Long Island. I'm sure it'll be a big night for him. I don't think they've played the Islanders in Long Island. I don't think Brock Nelson's played the Islanders in Long Island since the trade. So I think they're going to do the whole video tribute thing for him tonight. Probably. Obviously, he's going to get one. Like everything he's done for the New York Islanders. This is not like giving fucking Pierre Engvall a video tribute in Toronto, like what happened a year or two ago. So, yeah, big night for Brock Nelson. A couple of books have it at plus 300. You have to shop around for this because some books have it only at plus 260, plus 270. So, but plus 300 is out there. Brock Nelson, Colorado, plus 300 for my bargain bin special tonight. I think this could be a night for, as May's Music says in the chat, the plus 525 over 1.5 points for Brock Nelson might be worth a shot. But I'm going to go with the goal prop, plus 300. Alex is back with us now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Special. We got you. Yep.
Everything good? All right, great. Let's go out to Hollywood. We got the Blackhawks taking on the Kings, and I mentioned he's moving up to the second line. We've cashed with him earlier this year as well at plus 550. It's Oliver Moore. Anytime goal scorer, the plus 550 available at FanDuel. I like him. He's been getting some solid chances. Like I said, up there on that second line with Bertuzzi and Frank Nazar, another guy who needs to get things rolling. But I definitely like Oliver Moore to pot one tonight. So that's plus 550, my bargain special this evening.
All right, there you go. Oliver Moore, plus 550 for his bargain bin special of the night with Chicago and Oliver Moore for Alex P. Smith. You know what? I was going to give out another bargain bin. I'm going to save it for Patreon. I'm going to save it for Patreon. There we go. You want my second bargain bin special of the night? Sign up, patreon.com/ I do have another one that I'm going to go with, and I will put it on the Patreon card for our Patreon members. This is in addition to Brock Nelson for Colorado. So check it out, patreon.com/ Ice Guys. I will have a second bargain bin special for tonight for our Patreon members on the card. All right, good stuff. Best bets. It's been a good week for best bets. We'll try to keep it rolling. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Calvin Pickard sucked. So let's go with the Seattle Kraken team total over 2.5, getting that at a plus price. That's not going to be my best bet here for tonight.
Seattle, release the Kraken. Seattle, team total over 2.5. And you can still get a plus price on that at some spots. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, I mean, there's still plus 100, plus 105 out there for anyone liking that Seattle team total over. So very cheap price to look at Seattle getting the 3 goals. And again, with relation to Calvin Pickard, he's got a 4.04 goals against average this season. So Seattle team total over 2.5, best bet for Alex P. Smith. My best bet, the overs have been sizzling this week, so let's go with another one. Let's go to Detroit, Columbus, over 6.5, minus 105. I love this one. 6 straight overs, head-to-head, Red Wings, Jackets. All 6 of them have had 7 or more goals. 8-2 run to the over in the last 10 meetings. Detroit's given up goals lately. Columbus has given up goals lately, but both teams found their offense in their last game, too. So I think we see goals tonight in the state of Ohio. Red Wings, Blue Jackets, over 6.5, minus 105 for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Like I said, looking forward to this Thursday NHL slate. Looking forward to seeing if some of these underdogs hit. I feel good about it. I feel great about the value we're getting with a lot of these sides that I like. So let's hope we hit some here tonight. And Alex, well, looking forward to it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we are back Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Matt Robb in the house with us as well for another edition of the Ice Guys.